Well, what's up? This here is part 3 of how to fix crappy compost, especially if you bought that stuff at the store, or maybe you got a bunch of that, I don't know, black cow, whatever they got on the market these days. Okay, so I had 2 different piles. If you'll have to go back to part 1 and check out exactly how I started with this, but I had 2 different piles. It was all in the back of my truck. I split it up. One of them, I'm doing a colder method. This other one, I'm doing a thermophilic or a hot method, okay? So the one inside there, the only thing I need to do at this point is make sure the moisture is on point and everything's fine. So right now, that's all I'm gonna do. Now, stay tuned because there's gonna be more that I do in time when this one finally comes out of the cage. So here we are. It's been 3 days and we've had basically the temperature around 140 degrees. Now, you're seeing basically pop up on your screen right now a little chart. And depending on how hot it gets determines whether or not I need to flip it and when. So just use that chart as your guide, maybe screenshot it or something like that. Well, it's been at 141 for about 3 days, and that's exactly what we want. I prefer to get a little bit hotter than that, but hey, we got there. So far at this point, the bottom, which was the center before, has been composted. The middle has now been composted. Now we got to compost the top. So it's really this simple. And I mean this simple. And if you do this perfectly, you only really need to flip this thing twice. I like to refine it a little bit more, so I'm going to do a little bit more. But don't worry, I'll cover that in later videos. So all I'm going to do is take my cage off and reassemble it over here on this pallet. That part's squared away. Now, all I'm gonna do is take the top, okay, and I'm gonna stick it right here on this tarp. Now, that's really all. Remember, as I said before, imagine that cylinder having a hot ball in the inside. I'm gonna avoid that hot ball. All I wanna do is get all the parts that haven't yet been composted. You're gonna wanna stick around for this because I'm gonna add a little bit of caveat here for those of you that are making piles that don't quite get hot enough. Okay, so just like last time, here's the hot center, and it's hot. And I shaved off pretty much everything. So all I'm gonna do is take this hot center and now make it the bottom in my new cage. Like last time, the hot middle has now become the bottom. Okay, so that has been composted. It's on the bottom. The only part of this pile that hasn't been composted yet is right there. But what if you didn't, like me right now, I'm not really happy with the temperatures. I'd like to be a little bit higher, because the faster I can get this thing composted, the faster I can move on to something else, okay? Having to wait 3 days in between, that's fine if you want to do it. I think a lot of times it actually creates a better pile. But I know that on the back end, I'm going to make this thing fantastic. So I'm going to show you my secret recipe. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a bunch of comfrey leaves. Okay, so why on earth do I feel like I need to use comfrey? Well, I could use any green. Let's just be honest here. Any green would do. But the reason why I'm in favor of comfrey is because, remember, this is a compost pile. And comfrey is known to bioaccumulate all those wonderful things down in the soil. So if I'm going to use something to heat this up, I'm going to use something that greatly benefits me. It could be my own urine. It could be comfrey leaves. And this is why we sell it at the website. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that stuff. I'm going to put it in the bowl, essentially, that I made inside here. And I'm just going to layer it all the way through. Now, not only is it going to deposit all that wonderful goodness into my compost pile, it's also going to heat it up because obviously, especially this time of year, that stuff is pretty much high nitrogen. So that's what's next. This thing is shaped up kind of like a volcano. I know it's tough for you to see it from your angle, but just imagine it's kind of coned up, that hot center, or what's going to be at the hot center. Now I'm going to take that bottom that's already been composted, I'm going to fill in the sides and then put the rest on top.
That transfers information, because I'm assuming you guys have got this, I do. It protects, got this problem, goes back.
Well, that's a wrap on this one. As you can see, I tightened up the cage a little bit more, and of course it's going to cook down. So the only thing left to do, get our handy dandy thermometer in there. Oops. Yeah, let me find halfway on it. Right about there. And now it's gonna heat up a lot more than it did before. So, you know, if I get around 150, that'll be great because that's only 2 days. So, yeah, only thing left to do because my moisture is absolutely perfect. Now, if you'll remember, if you go back and watch the video, when we started off, this thing was sopping wet. Okay, so I left the top off for a little while, or left the tarp off. Now that it's perfect, I'm going to put it back on. This stuff is going to heat up. Now, I ideally want to get it up to temperature in about 24 hours. Otherwise, the bad guys start taking root. So that's another reason why I like to have it a little bit hotter. So stick around, folks. So next time we do a video, we'll turn this one out, and then we'll find out the status on our other pile, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. We're going to turn this garbage into absolutely gold. All right. Thank you so much for your support. If you need anything from us from the website, Bone Sauce Comfrey, go check us out. Until next time, stay alert, stay alive.